The night Caitlin Clark shattered the limits of basketball, reality began with a roar, so electric it could have powered the entire city of Indianapolis. In just 41 games, she accomplished what took Diana Taurasi 565 to achieve, rewriting not only the WNBA's record books, but the very definition of dominance. The Indiana Fever's demolition of the Chicago Sky wasn't a game, it was a statement. A seismic shift in professional basketball history that echoed across every arena, every stat sheet, and every fan's soul. Clark's triple-double was the spark, but it was only the beginning of a night that saw 11 records fall in unison, one after another, as if the basketball gods themselves were taking notes. She became a force of nature, draining logo threes with effortless confidence, slicing defenses with laser-priced passes, and dominating on both ends with an intensity that defied her years. Every possession told a story of growth, precision, and control. The rookie who had once been doubted had now transformed into the undisputed architect of a new era. As her teammates rallied behind her, Indiana turned into a machine, ruthless, synchronized, and unrelenting. The crowd didn't just witness greatness. They felt it in their bones as the Fever unleashed a performance that blended artistry with annihilation. And when Caitlin Clark sealed her 20-point, 10-rebound, 10-assist triple-double, she wasn't just making history, she was rewriting it at a speed the league had never seen before. What takes legends a decade, she did in less than 2 seasons. Every dribble, every shot, every pass was a declaration. This was no ordinary player. This was the arrival of something unstoppable. But what made this game immortal wasn't just Clark hit, was the convergence of greatness across generations inside one team. One arena, one unforgettable night. As the spotlight blazed on Indiana's rising star, veteran DeWanna Bonner stepped into history of her own. 15 years of relentless excellence led her to this moment, standing 7 points away from surpassing Tina Thompson to become the 3rd highest scorer in WNBA history. With grace and poise, Bonner did what she's always done: deliver. When she sank that free throw to hit 7,489 points, the arena erupted in a standing ovation, honoring a legend whose career had transcended eras. But Bonner's brilliance was never just about numbers, which was about leadership. Her presence has reshaped Indiana's locker room into a fortress of focus and belief. Players like Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull look to her not as a relic of the past, but as a mentor of the future. When Clark called her a Hall of Famer, a great person, a great leader, she captured exactly what Bonner represents: the bridge between what the WNBA was and what it's becoming. The Fever's culture has evolved under her influence. Discipline replaced doubt, and ambition replaced fear. That's the true power of greatness. It multiplies. Bonner's climb up the all-time scoring ranks was more than personal glory. It was symbolic of Indiana's resurrection. In that moment, every fan in the stands understood they weren't just witnessing one player's milestone. They were witnessing the forging of a dynasty. Then came the moment that transformed dominance into destiny: the rise of Aaliyah Boston. Alongside her unstoppable counterpart, for weeks, critics questioned whether Boston could truly dominate against the towering frontcourt of Chicago, especially fellow South Carolina alum Angel Reese. Those doubts vanished within minutes of tip-off. Boston's performance was a defensive masterpiece: 5 blocks that shook the floor, 13 rebounds that erased Chicago's confidence, and 19 points that cemented her as the most complete big in the league. Every possession was a statement of strength, positioning, and poise. When Reese tried to back her down, Boston stood unmovable. When Chicago drove the lane, she turned them away with authority. She became the anchor of Indiana's defense, the unbreakable wall behind Clark's relentless offense. And when the two combined, Clark's 4 blocks and Boston's 5, they didn't just stop Chicago. They made history with the most blocks ever by a guard-center duo in a WNBA season opener. That's not evolution. That's revolution. The Clark-Boston connection pulsed with chemistry, passes that seemed telepathic, rotations that felt rehearsed by destiny. Together, they embodied a balance no team in the league could match: speed and power, finesse and dominance, youth and experience. The Fever's 93-58 demolition wasn't a win, was an announcement that the league's new order had arrived. 11 records shattered. A 35-point victory margin, the second largest in franchise history, and a blueprint for a decade of dominance. The Indiana Fever aren't a rebuilding team anymore. They're an empire in motion, led by a superstar rewriting time itself. A legend cementing her immortality, and a force of nature rising before our eyes. The question isn't whether they'll keep breaking records, so how soon they'll run out of records left to break. The sound of history wasn't made by a buzzer hit, was made by the roar that followed Caitlin Clark's 10th rebound. That was the instant everything changed. The crowd erupted into chaos as Clark cemented the first 20-point rebound. 10 rebound, 10 assist triple-double ever recorded in a WNBA season opener. It was more than a milestone, it was a manifestation of everything she had worked for. Every criticism she had silenced, every ounce of doubt turned into dominance. The rookie sophomore leap she made defied logic. The pace at which she was achieving greatness seemed impossible. 41 games into her career, she was already breaking records that had taken Diana Taurasi, the gold standard of WNBA scoring excellence, 565 games to reach. That's not progress. That's more progress, that's warp speed. The difference between Clark and everyone else is mathematical, not emotional. While others take years to find rhythm, she found it before most players even understand the tempo of the league. With every pass that carved through Chicago's defense, with every logo three that barely brushed the net, she turned potential into proof. What takes legends a lifetime to build, she compressed into months. The Fever's 93-58 dismantling of the Sky was more than dominance. It was the arrival of inevitability. Clark didn't just lead her team to victory. She elevated the standard of what victory looks like. Every stat, every highlight, every defensive rotation was executed with precision that felt preordained. It was a clinic in control, tempo, vision, and intelligence fusing into the kind of performance you tell your grandchildren about. This wasn't a star shining. This was a sun rising, unstoppable and blinding in its brilliance. But the true magnitude of Indiana's rise can't be measured by Clark alone. It's defined by the fusion of past greatness and present fire that has transformed this roster into a championship-caliber machine. DeWanna Bonner's historic ascent into the top 3 all-time scorers became the emotional heartbeat of the night. Her 7,489th point wasn't just another basket, it was a moment decades in the making. From Phoenix to Connecticut to Indiana, Bonner's career has been a masterclass in persistence, professionalism, and poise. Her transition to the Fever didn't come with ego. It came with purpose. She didn't arrive to bask in the spotlight. She arrived to build something lasting. And the players around her responded. In a league often defined by rivalries and turnover, Indiana has found the rarest form of chemistry: trust. Clark and Boston might be the faces of the future, but Bonner is the foundation. Her leadership has turned Indiana from a rebuilding project into a legitimate powerhouse. When she speaks in the locker room, her words carry weight not because of reputation, but because of results. She's seen everything this league has to offer, yet she plays with the hunger of a rookie chasing her first win. That's what sets her apart. And that's why her milestone resonated so deeply, not just as a personal triumph, but as a collective victory for the franchise. The ovation that followed wasn't simply applause. It was gratitude. Gratitude for the longevity, the loyalty, the leadership that have anchored this transformation. When Bonner walked off the court that night, she wasn't just third on the all-time scoring list. She was first and influenced the voice, the example, and the steady heartbeat of a team rising into immortality. Then there was Aaliyah Boston, the silent storm that turned the paint into her kingdom and silenced every doubt in thunderous fashion. She didn't talk her dominance into existence. She proved it, possession after possession. The Chicago Sky came in with confidence, with Angel Reese proclaiming she'd own the matchup. But once the game began, all the noise faded under the weight of Boston's sheer authority. She played with precision that bordered on poetry, a blend of timing and power that made every block a statement. 5 rejections, 13 rebounds, and 19 points, all delivered with a calm ferocity that broke Chicago's spirit. When she blocked Reese for the 3rd time, the crowd didn't just cheer, they gasped. Realizing they were watching something historic unfold, Boston didn't just defend. She dictated. Every drive became a dead end, every shot a challenge. And when Clark and Boston combined for 9 total blocks, the most by any duo in WNBA, opening night history, it became clear that the Fever's dominance wasn't confined to offense. Their defense, anchored by Boston's instinct and Clark's hustle, suffocated Chicago until the Sky's confidence completely collapsed. What followed wasn't a contest, it was a coronation. Boston's name now sits among Fever legends in rebounds and blocks. But her true legacy is being written in the chemistry she's forged with Clark. Together, they've built a partnership that transcends traditional basketball roles, a synergy of IQ, effort, and unspoken understanding. The Fever aren't just winning games. They're building a dynasty, brick by brick, record by record, block by block. When the scoreboard read 93-58, the message was clear. Indiana isn't here to compete, they're here to conquer. They're here to conquer. The storm didn't just pass through Indianapolis, that night it was born there. Caitlin Clark stood at the center of it all, commanding the floor like a general who already knew the outcome of the battle. Every motion she made, every pass, every glance, every perfectly timed shot felt deliberate, like she was scripting history in real time. This was not a player testing her limits, okay? This was a phenom redefining them. In just 41 games, she had achieved milestones that veterans like Diana Taurasi, Courtney Vandersloot, and Sue Bird took entire careers to touch. 41 games. That's not progress, that's revolution. When she hit her 10th rebound to seal the triple-double, the energy inside the arena exploded into something primal, something that didn't feel like a simple sports moment anymore. It felt like destiny being fulfilled in front of tens of thousands of believers. Clark had arrived not just as a scorer or playmaker, but as a force of nature, reshaping the physics of the game itself. Her combination of range, precision, and court vision makes her dangerous in ways that can't be schemed against. Defenses stretch out to contain her shot, only to find her slicing them open with assists that look impossible until she makes them routine. She plays basketball like it's chess while everyone else is still learning checkers. Every time she touches the ball, you can feel the pulse of inevitability. Something spectacular is about to happen. And in that game against the Chicago Sky, it happened over and over again until there was nothing left for Chicago to do but watch in disbelief. Her 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists didn't just fill a box score, they filled a chapter in history. She became the fastest player ever to record 3 triple-doubles. And she did it with the poise of a veteran, the fire of a rookie, and the soul of a legend in the making. But Clark's brilliance wasn't isolated, it spread like wildfire through the entire Fever roster. The energy she brought turned every player around her into a sharper version of themselves. DeWanna Bonner's leadership anchored the team. Aaliyah Boston's dominance in the paint gave them a foundation of power, and together they turned potential into perfection. This wasn't the same Indiana Fever team that struggled for relevance years ago. This was a team possessed, focused, unified, and relentless. The chemistry was undeniable. You could see it in how Clark found Boston for easy finishes, how Kelsey Mitchell rotated perfectly on defense, how Bonner's voice kept everyone grounded in moments of chaos. It was the kind of cohesion championship teams dream of and rarely achieve this early. The Fever weren't just playing together, they were breathing together, thinking together, moving as one entity fueled by momentum and belief. When a team breaks 11 records in a single night, it's not luck hits, a declaration of dominance. And that's what Indiana delivered. Dominance in every sense of the word. They didn't just defeat the Chicago Sky, they dismantled them piece by piece, possession by possession, until the scoreboard told a story that couldn't be ignored. 93-58. A 35-point victory that stands as the second largest margin in franchise history. This wasn't just a win. It was a message sent across the league in bold letters: Indiana Fever has arrived, and they're not slowing down. What makes this ascent so extraordinary is how balanced it is. Every piece of this roster complements the others perfectly. Clark may be the engine, but Boston is the backbone. Bonner is the wisdom. Mitchell is the spark. And the bench is the steady heartbeat that keeps the rhythm going. Aaliyah Boston's performance that night was a masterclass in control and intensity. She dominated both ends of the floor, collecting rebounds like they belonged to her and protecting the rim with a ferocity that left Chicago's offense in ruins. Her timing was immaculate. Her patience was lethal. Each block she delivered was more than a defensive plate, was a statement that nothing easy would come in her house. She's already climbed into the Fever's top 10 all-time rebounders and sits among the elite in blocks end. She's just getting started. When you combine that with Clark's 4 rejections from the perimeter, it's no wonder the duo set a new WNBA record for most blocks by a guard center pairing in an opening game. That stat alone captures the essence of what makes this team so terrifying. They attack you from every angle. The guard who leads the league in assists is also protecting the rim, while the center who dominates inside has the hands to finish every pass in stride. It's basketball synergy at its finest, the kind of connection that turns games into statements and statements into legacies. Clark's defensive evolution has been one of the most shocking developments of the season. Known initially for her shooting and playmaking, she's now becoming a two-way player capable of anchoring possessions with pure anticipation. 4 blocks in a single game, more than she ever had in college, silenced anyone who doubted her grit or toughness. It's not that she's suddenly become a shot blocker. It's that she refuses to let any part of her game remain ordinary. That mindset has infected the entire team. Indiana now plays with a defensive edge that feels personal. Every rotation sharp, every contest calculated. The Fever used to be known for flashes of promise. Now they're known for finishing games with authority. They don't just beat teams, they suffocate them, wearing them down mentally and physically until there's nothing left. Against the Sky, they forced turnovers, contested every shot, and moved the ball with an elegance that made even the simplest plays look poetic. By the final buzzer, Chicago wasn't just defeated. They were dismantled, their confidence drained by 40 minutes of relentless pressure. DeWanna Bonner's moment in history added the emotional soul to that night. She hit the free throw. That made her the 3rd all-time leading scorer in WNBA history. The arena erupted not out of surprise, but out of respect. Bonner's career has been a testament to endurance, consistency, and class. For 15 years, she's been the definition of reliability, the player who delivers when the lights are brightest. And now, in her 30s, she's found new life in Indiana, surrounded by youth and energy, but still leading the charge. Her presence brings balance to the chaos of stardom, while Clark represents the future and Boston symbolizes the foundation. Bonner stands as the bridge between generations, the steady hand guiding the storm. When she speaks, the locker room listens, and when she plays, she sets the tone. Her milestone that night wasn't a farewell to her primate, was proof that she's still shaping the league she helped define. Passing Tina Thompson wasn't just symbolic, it was historic. Only 2 players in WNBA history have scored more points, and Bonner's journey to that elite club was carved out of resilience and reinvention. For the Fever, her achievement was a reminder that greatness doesn't fade, it evolves. The synergy between Clark, Bonner, and Boston is the lifeblood of this new Indiana era. You can feel it in the way they celebrate each other's success, in the way their styles complement perfectly youthful fire, veteran wisdom, and unstoppable strength converging into one unstoppable force. The Fever don't have egos, they have ambition. And that's what makes them dangerous. They're not chasing individual glory, they're building something bigger. The entire organization has transformed under that shared mindset. Okay. From the first day of training camp to the opening night blowout, you can see a team that's not content with improvement, they want dominance. That's why Clark's post-game words resonated so deeply. It makes a world of difference when you can help your teammate out. That's the philosophy driving this machine. Help, trust, belief. When you combine those with elite talent, you don't just win games, you create legacies. The Fever's 93-58 demolition of the Chicago Sky was more than a victory. It was the unveiling of a dynasty in the making. 11 records fell in one night each, one a symbol of how far this team has come and how much further they can